On my first night shift as a residential security guard, my colleague dragged me to watch a short video. At first glance, I treated it as entertainment, joking with my coworker, saying the woman had quite a charm and wondering which sucker would end up with her. Until I accidentally noticed the tattoo on the woman's exposed chest, identical to my wife's. It was the couple tattoo we got during our early relationship. No, impossible. It's just a tattoo. Couldn't it be a coincidence? Then came the woman's coquettish plea in the video. Big brother, do it again. I can't wait any longer. A voice I knew all too well. It belonged to my wife of 10 years, Jiang Xianhao. Instantly, blood rushed to my head. My hands trembled uncontrollably as I gripped the phone. The humiliated fury and rage burned in my chest, a dull ache that made it hard to breathe. Xiao Liao, sitting beside me, teased, Xiao Chuan, what's the big deal? A little video got you all flushed red with a neck bulging like that. Come on, Big Bro'll take you to see the live show. Before I could respond, Xiao Liao dragged me to a corner of the residential complex's underground parking garage. Following the direction he pointed, I spotted a BMW rocking violently nearby. Through the dim lighting, I could still dimly see pale, squirming flesh moving rhythmically inside the car, and the faintly visible tattoo on that body. Jiang, I couldn't suppress a cry, but Xiao Liao immediately covered my mouth. Keep quiet. Want to lose your job? Xiao Liao whispered a warning for me to stay silent. The man in the car was the son of the wealthiest man in Guangxing, and also the developer of this residential complex. Ever since Xiao Liao and others accidentally stumbled upon these nighttime escapades during their patrols, they've been coming to peek periodically. You almost ruined half a year's worth of fun for us brothers. I stared blankly at the scene unfolding before me, feeling nothing but icy coldness throughout my body. Recently, my wife Jiang Xianhao had become obsessed with playing mahjong. She would go out every day to play a couple of rounds. Sometimes when the weather was bad, windy or rainy, I'd offer to pick her up, but she always refused outright, claiming it was too troublesome. Now it became clear, her so-called mahjong games were just a pretext to sneak out and meet someone else. Xiao Liao, oblivious to my turmoil, continued watching the live show with voyeuristic enthusiasm. I excused myself to use the bathroom and fled in panic. My heart felt as if stuffed with cotton, suffocating and painful. After some deliberation, I dialed Jiang Xianhao's number. The phone rang endlessly before being answered, her breathless voice coming through. Honey, what's wrong? Do you need something? I steadied myself and feigned nonchalance. Nothing. When will your game end? Should I pick you up? Didn't I say you don't need to? When I didn't speak, Jiang Xianhao added, Honey, if you sneak out to pick me up right after starting work, what if the boss finds out? You just got this job. Do you want to lose it already? Every word she said seemed to consider me deeply. In the past, I would have fallen for it immediately. Ugh, can't talk anymore. I'm about to win this round. Hanging up now. She hung up before I could respond. I stood frozen in the corner, watching her adjust her disheveled clothes while clinging to a man's arm, swaying up the stairs. Tonight would be a sleepless night for both of us. The next day after work, Jiang Xianhao was already home. She lay on the sofa with a face mask on, not even lifting an eyelid. Why are you back so late? Did you buy the bread I asked for? If it's not from the bakery I wanted, go line up again and get the right one. And why didn't you wash the dishes before work yesterday? Since when did you become so lazy? Expecting me to wait on you now? Jiang Xian was complaining as usual, bossing me around to do this and that. Only after talking for a while did she realize I hadn't spoken. She glanced at me, puzzled. What's wrong? Who are you putting on airs for first thing in the morning? I stared at her intently. Where were you last night? Perhaps my gaze made her uneasy. She paused, then rushed over, wrapped her arms around my waist, and began acting coquettishly. Where else could I go? Didn't I tell you I was playing mahjong? If you don't like me playing mahjong, then I won't go anymore. Okay. Seeing Jiang Xian's sincere look, my heart softened again. Every time she used this tactic before, I'd crumble completely. But this time was different. I pushed her away and said firmly, Do you really have nothing to tell me? Just as she was about to speak, her phone suddenly rang. She picked it up, glanced at it, then set it back down. I already knew who it was but asked anyway. Whose call? Why not answer it? Her eyes darted away, and she subconsciously hung up. You've really grown some backbone, huh, Zhoming? Either you refuse to work entirely, or you start working and become obsessed with paranoid delusions. I never intended to rain on your parade when you got a job, but with that security guard salary of yours, do you really think you have the right to keep pressuring me to have a kid? If I hadn't been foresighted enough to take contraceptives, I'd already be a haggard housewife dragging a kid around by now. I didn't argue. I simply threw the bread I'd bought for her after queuing 2 hours this morning straight into the trash. Jiang Xianhao frowned at me for a moment, then suddenly softened her tone. At worst, I'll never go out to play cards again. My heart skipped a beat. Can you reel? Oh, I do that. Yes, I've taken a night shift job. From 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. every night. I'll be out working. I sneered inwardly. What exactly was I still hoping for? Jiang Xianhao was now planning to use this clumsy lie to keep cuckolding me. I turned my back, unwilling to spare her another glance. Jiang Xianhao completely lost her patience and shoved me hard. Didn't you hear me speaking to you? Such an ungrateful wretch. Stop acting high and mighty when you're just a useless good-for-nothing. Why did I ever marry a damned cripple like you? All that foul temper, utterly useless. My foot slammed into the coffee table, and the old wound started bleeding again. Yes, I'm useless. But if it weren't for saving you back then, would I be crippled? Though I'm physically limited, I've never treated you poorly. I worked 3 jobs every day just to provide you with the best material conditions. If not for my relapsed leg injury, how could I have fallen to being a security guard? Yet Jiang Xianhao seemed not to hear, slamming the door as he left. During the day while Jiang Xianhao was out, I secretly installed a camera. Everything should have been already set in stone, but a sliver of fantasy still lingered in my heart. Until, the moment I stepped out, Jiang Xianhao brought his lover into view on the surveillance feed. As soon as Jiang Xianhao and Li Bao met, they combusted like dry timber meeting flames, instantly tumbling together. I watched like a masochist for a long time, recording with my phone the entire time. Sensual moans traveled from the living room all the way to the master bedroom. Beneath the wedding photo of Jiang Xianhao and me hanging above the bed, the two of them kissed passionately. Watching them have an affair in my own bedroom. My pillow was thrown to the floor and trampled underfoot. It felt like a sharp, blunt knife had been stabbed into my heart, the pain suffocating. Since she treated me this way, I'd give her a grand gift in return. That evening, my living room was packed with people. Jiang Xianhao's parents, her brother, her best friend, her college roommates, her aunts and uncles, everyone I could summon was there. Just then, the sound of the passcode lock disengaging echoed from the door. I signaled the crowd to quiet down and turned off the lights. When Jiang Xianhao stepped inside, she saw a candlelit dining table covered in rose petals, with balloons on the wall spelling out "I love you." Meanwhile, I stood holding a massive bouquet, down on one knee. "Darling, happy 10th wedding anniversary." I spoke without thinking before. "Can you forgive me?" Jiang Xianhao stood frozen outside the door. Her lips were slightly swollen, lipstick smudged. The stockings on her legs had vanished. A rough masculine hand remained concealed inside her clothes, kneading incessant. "Tly." In an instant, all color drained from her face. The family and friends standing behind me also saw it. I stared at Jiang Xianhao in disbelief. "What are you doing?" Jiang Xianhao looked at me with mockery in her eyes. "What do you think? Zhou, you're not still waiting for me to slap myself and beg for your forgiveness, are you? Why don't you take a look at whether you're even worthy?" Li Bao, standing behind her, stepped forward. "Zhou, I've taken a liking to your wife. Name your price." After speaking, Li Bao bent down to smooth out the hem of Jiang Xianhao's dress. The two exchanged a smile, as if everything that had just happened was utterly ordinary. I watched their self-righteous expressions, my stomach churning with disgust. "You truly have no shame, to have the audacity to bring your affair to my doorstep. Want a divorce? Fine." I turned to Li Bao. "Compensate me with a leg." "Zhou, oh Zhou, how bold you've grown. We offered you money out of pity for enduring that cuckold's humiliation for so long, yet you dare overstep your boundaries. If it weren't for Hao saying you're pitiable, no one in their right mind would hire a cripple like you as a security guard. You demand I compensate you with a leg? Have you even asked around Dongguan? Who here would dare lay a finger on me?" As I opened my mouth to speak, Jiang Xianhao threw herself into Li Bao's arms. "Zhou, I advise you to take the money. Save us all from embarrassment later. Brother Bao isn't just a CEO. He's the second-generation heir who no one in Dongguan's underworld or legitimate circles dares cross." I raised my head to glare at the two with their interlocked fingers, then coldly turned to Jiang Xianhao's parents. "Is this how the Jiang family raises their daughter?" Hearing my words, Mother Jiang approached. She had always looked down on me, believing I wasn't worthy of her noble daughter. "Watch your tongue. Keep your mouth clean. Look at your arrogant demeanor. You've been bullying my daughter like this all along, haven't you? I always said my precious girl would regret marrying you. Since she's met someone better now, can't you just let go and let her be happy? Zhou, your heart is truly vicious. Must you drag my daughter through lifelong hardship with you?" After hearing Mrs. Zhang's words, Jiang Xianhao's relatives and friends all averted their gazes from mine. "Zhou, Hao is a good girl. Just release her. She's even willing to compensate you financially. Instead of thanking her, how dare you get angry about it? How come with a crippled leg? Even your mind's gone dull. Turning down such a good deal." They whispered among themselves while emitting ambiguous laughter. My face flushed red with anger. "You? All right. Zhou, Brother Bao and I are deeply in love. If I hadn't pity ed you back then, why would I have ever married you?" The incident where I courageously chased off a robber to save Jiang Xianhao even made local news. The narrative of a disabled hero finally winning the beauty played out vividly, with her shyly declaring her love on camera still fresh in memory. How did it become mere pity, in her words now? Though I don't know how these two got together, at least Zhang Xianhao is still legally my wife. This suffocating resentment in my chest. I simply can't swallow it. Zhang Xianhao, this is marital infidelity. Do you understand? I stared at her the entire time I spoke. She couldn't meet my gaze. Li Bao suddenly pulled her into his arms, striking a hero protecting the damsel pose. Infidelity? You're just unhappy with the money. Name your price. I've got plenty to spare. I stared at this arrogant second-generation heir, his face bloated with entitlement, like he was a circus clown. Sorry, I've changed my mind. If you take Zhang Xianhao away today, it won't just cost you a leg anymore. Within an hour at most, I'll bankrupt you completely. As soon as I finished speaking, Zhang Xianhao couldn't wait to step forward. Zhou, stop trying to scare people here. Who do you think you are, trying to bankrupt Brother Leopard? After being married to you for so long, how come I never knew you had such capabilities? Zhang Xianhao's words drew roaring laughter from the crowd. I've always said, what kind of man deserves what kind of wife? A useless cripple like Zhou Ming who's both disabled and poor will inevitably lose his wife to others. When it comes to real power, look at our Brother Leopard, lavish with his spending, rock-solid background. The crowd kept kissing up to Li Bao, yet not a single person spoke up for me. Ignoring their mockery, I prepared to get up and leave. Before I could reach the door, a large hand clamped down on my shoulder. Trying to leave? Did I give you permission? Li Bao looked at me with a mocking smile, his eyes brimming with undisguised contempt. Zhou Ming, I'll give you two choices today. Either take the money, sign the divorce, and get lost, or I'll cripple your other leg. Zhang Xianhao cooed from Li Bao's arms. Bao Ji, that's too brutal. It's scaring me. Fine then. Crawl between my legs, or take the money and divorce. Choose one, Zhou Ming. Think carefully. Clenching my fists to contain the rage, I spoke slowly. I can divorce Zhang Xianhao. I'll take none of the money. But, I paused deliberately before continuing. You must first let me call my father. I can't decide this divorce alone. Li Bao doubled over with laughter at my words. Did I hear that right? A man in his 30s needs daddy's permission to get a divorce. Maybe you still need him to breastfeed you too? Zhang Xianhao snorted coldly. Brother Bao, let him call. He's been a fat, hairless bastard since he was a child. I want to see where he'll find a dad to answer the phone. Fine. After I make this call, don't you dare regret it. Zhang Xianhao looked smug. Whoever regrets, it is a grandson. As she was about to continue, I quickly waved my hand to stop her. Good. That's all I need to hear from you. With that, I pulled out my phone and dialed my father's number. Dad, it's Zhou Ming. A gentle voice responded from the other end. Ming Ming? This is Uncle Wang. The master is in a meeting right now. Is something wrong? Say, Uncle Wang, I need your help with something. I then briefly explained Zhang Xianhao's affair and Li Bao's visit to force me into divorce. The moment I finished, the sound of shattered porcelain came through the receiver. Who dares have such audacity to steal your wife? Before I could speak, Zhang Xianhao began sneering. Oh, Zhou Ming, you've really put on quite a show. Even found yourself a dear uncle. How much are you paying him per hour? Li Bao snatched the phone away. Hey, you on the other end, whether you're Uncle Zhang or Uncle Wang, listen up. Zhou Ming's wife is mine. As for you, better stay out of this unless you want trouble yourself. Uncle Wang apparently hadn't expected Li Bao's brazen tone. There was several seconds of silence before he responded. So you're the one forcing Zhou Ming to divorce? Still unaware of the identity on the other end, Li Bao maintained his cocky demeanor. Damn right it's me. Everyone in Guanxing knows Li Bao. What I want, I get. If I felt like it, digging up Zhou Ming's ancestral graves would be as easy as snapping my fingers. Uncle Wang was clearly infuriated, his breathing becoming audibly uneven as he spoke. Li Bao, you have some nerve spouting such treasonous words. Can't you recognize who I am? Who the hell cares who you are? After saying this, Li Bao violently smashed my phone to the ground, even stomping on it furiously several times. Damn, I've seen bold people before, but never someone as recklessly stubborn as Li Bao. I warned him kindly. Li Bao, do you truly not know who Uncle Wang is? How could you? He impatiently cut me off. Enough. The call's been made. It's too late to play the family card now. Sign this divorce agreement with me immediately. With one arm around my wife, Li Bao tossed a divorce agreement at me with his other hand. I glanced at Zhang Xianhao, who was eagerly clinging to his newfound status, then signed the document without hesitation. Thus concluded my decade-long marriage. Strangely, the moment I signed my name, I felt not a shred of regret in my heart. Instead, I felt a great weight lifted off my shoulders. Just as I stood to see them out, Li Bao pressed his palm on my shoulder with ill intent. Wait. You and Hao Hao's matter is settled. Now it's time to see. Till accounts between us. Li Bao exhaled a mouthful of smoke directly into my face. That car video of me and Hao Hao, You leaked it online, didn't you? If I hadn't used my connections to buy off the footage, you'd have ruined me. His narrowed eyes gleamed coldly. Zhou Ming, today you won't leave here without losing a leg. I met Li Bao's gaze calmly, a faint smile on my lips. Try moving against me today. See if your backer will save you. The moment I finished speaking, Li Bao's face twisted with rage. Good. I always loved how stubbornly you cling to your pride. Mid-sentence, Li Bao snapped his fingers sharply. A dozen burly young men instantly flooded through the door, surrounding me completely. Keep a close eye on him. Li Bao strode over to the ancestral shrine in the living room, picking up my mother's memorial portrait to scrutinize it. Is this your short-lived mother? Why hang it so high? Hoping she'll back you up from beyond the grave. He sneered viciously while tearing the portrait off the wall. Think she'll leap out of her coffin if I break your legs right in front of her? As he spoke, he raised the portrait high above his head and smashed it against the floor. I struggled to stop him, but it was futile. My roars only made these beasts laugh more wildly, their actions growing even more unrestrained. They even stomped on the portrait, grinding it repeatedly under their feet, until the portrait shattered into fragments, scattered across the floor. Li Bao, I'll give you one last chance. If you don't stop now, the consequences will be beyond your reckoning. Before Li Bao could respond, the surrounding sycophants erupted in uproar. Did I hear that right? You're about to die yet still dare to spout such nonsense. This is literally the funniest joke I've heard in my life. A good-for-nothing daring to challenge Wanqing's Li Bao. Zhou Ming, I advise you to kneel and kowtow to Brother Bao. Maybe he'll spare you. The Jiang family relatives who had been fawning over me hours earlier now united in their verbal assault, taking turns to bombard me. They all competed to lick Li Bao's boots. As Li Bao's diehard fan, Jiang Xianhao naturally wouldn't be outdone. Zhou Ming, should I fetch you a mirror? Even random people here could knock your teeth out, let alone Li Bao. Seeing my silence, Li Bao's arrogance reached new heights. He signaled his men to hold me down firmly, then squatted and spat in my face. Worthless trash. Today you'll either crawl through my crotch in front of all these relatives, or, well, maybe I'll consider sparing you. Either I break your legs and throw you into the mountains to feed the wolves. My gaze gradually turned icy. Li Bao, do you really think there's no one in Guanxing who can touch you? Instead of restraining himself after my words, Li Bao's tone grew even more rampant. Fine, I'd like to see who dares to touch me. He grew more agitated as he spoke, spewing flecks of spittle onto my face. Bring the tools over. Let's see how long that mouth of his stays tough. Just as Li Bao picked up the steel rod to strike my legs, his phone rang. I didn't know what the person on the other end said to him, but the steel rod in his hand unconsciously lowered. At that moment, a burly man walked in from outside the door. Seeing this, Li Bao hastily straightened his clothes and greeted him with a beaming smile. Young Master Yang, what brings you here? Hearing Li Bao call out the man's name, everyone present paled slightly. Jiang Xianhao even lowered her head and retreated to a corner. The man called Young Master Yang swept his gaze around the room, finally spotting me pinned to the ground. Xiao? Zhou Ming. As everyone heard his words, all eyes turned toward me. Li Bao in particular looked ready to punch me twice over at that moment. Cripple, when you're being spoken to, are you deaf? I slowly rose to my feet, brushing dust from my face. That's me. And you are. Young Master Yang wore a grave expression as he helped me sit on the sofa, then turned to bring me a cup of hot tea. Young Master, I'm Wang Yang, son of Wang Bo. My father encountered some trouble on the way and specifically instructed me to ensure your safe return. The crowd watched in bewilderment as young Master Yang bowed respectfully while whispering to me. What's going on? How does Zhou Ming know someone as important as young Master Yang? Their relationship seems unusually close. Look how reverent young Master Yang acts toward that cripple. Could Zhou Ming actually have some hidden capability we never knew about? Li Bao snorted softly, looking at me with disdainful eyes. Yang Xiao, did you come today for him? Wang Yang didn't even glance his way, standing tall and straight beside me. Correct. I'm taking him away right now. As his words fell, the room erupted in an uproar, because every person here had previously insulted or mocked me to some extent. The looks in their eyes gradually began to change, shifting from initial disdain to present-day terror. I thought Li Bao would also restrain himself, but little did I expect he would deliberately block the doorway, glaring at me viciously. Zhou Ming, do you think cozying up to Wang Yang means I'll let you off today? Pa, what kind of person do you take Li Bao for? He spat. Today I'm putting my words right here. If Zhou Ming wants to walk out this gate, he must crawl through my crotch. Otherwise, I'll cripple one of his legs. Wang Yang patted my shoulder and whispered in my ear. Don't be afraid, young master. With me here, no one dares touch you. Hearing his words, I felt an inexplicable sense of calm. So this is what it feels like to be protected. Wang Yang lifted his gaze to sweep a glance at Li Bao, coldly barking, stop being obstinate. With one phone call now, I can make you get kicked out of the Li family." Instead of being frightened by these words, Li Bao laughed even more maniacally. "Who the hell do you think you are? Daring to expel me from the Li family? You're not even qualified. You and your father are just two dogs of our Li family. Really think yourselves masters now. No one can help today. Without my permission, this cripple isn't allowed to take half a step beyond this door." Wang Yang didn't panic, instead smiling as he looked at him. "Fine. Then I'll have him come over right now to see if he's got that capability. Dare threaten me? Wang Yang, today I'll teach you how to write the word death." He angrily pulled out his phone and made several calls. Before long, cars began to fill up the street below my house. Judging by these vehicles, their owners clearly weren't ordinary people. Sure enough, when I saw these people, I was completely stunned. Every one of them was a big shot from the Li Corporation. No wonder Jiang Xianhao acted so arrogantly earlier. Being able to hook up with a lover like Li Bao, she really has some formidable skills. "Brat, so you're the one standing up for this cripple, huh? You think I won't kick you and your dad out of the Li Group right now?" The first speaker was someone I'd seen in newspapers, the CEO of the Li Group. A man called Uncle Kai stepped forward and patted Wang Yang's shoulder. "Xiao Yang, quit waving that chicken feather like it's a command flag. However capable your dad is, he's just the old master's steward. You're digging your own father's grave. Hand the person over now and apologize to the young master. Maybe I can still get you out of this unscathed." Wang Yang stayed silent, calmly watching their theatrics. Li Bao sneered. "Scared now, aren't you? Too late. You actually dreamed of kicking me out of the Li family? I'll have you and your dad thrown out this instant." With a loud bang, my front door was kicked open again. An elderly man in his 60s, but still vibrant, walked in, none other than Li Lei, the helmsman of the Li Group. The moment they saw Li Lei, the previously haughty senior executives of the group began to stammer. "Old master, why? Why have you come here?" Li Bao also approached, bowing and scraping, almost kowtowing. "Dad, why didn't you tell me you were coming? I could have picked you up." The old man didn't even glance at Li Bao. After scanning the room, his gaze settled quietly on me. "My child, you've suffered." Li Bao's eyes lit up as he pointed at me and Wang Yang. "Dad, these two just bullied me. You must stand up for your son. Even if they don't die, they should be skinned alive. Indeed, those who harm my son shall either die or be skinned alive." Li Lei exuded authority without anger, striking the ground heavily with his cane. Instantly, 7 or 8 burly men in black suits emerged from nowhere. They all looked extremely fierce, clearly professionally trained. They were leagues stronger than Li Bao's lackeys. At Li Lei's light cough, the Yi men promptly tackled Li Bao heavily to the ground. Pinned motionless on the floor, Li Bao looked up incredulously. "Dad, what are you doing?" Li Lei walked straight toward me, pulled a handkerchief from his suit's inner pocket, and carefully wiped the bloodstains from my face. "My son, your father arrived too late." Li Lei's words detonated like an explosive bomb, blasting shockwaves through the entire private room. "What? Zhou Ming is actually Li Lei's son? Then who is this guy lying on the floor? Wasn't Li Bao the son he brought back from outside 10 years ago? Could there have been a mistake? Is Zhou Ming the real heir? Oh no, we just helped Li Bao bully Zhou Ming. What do we do now?" Not just the old-timers from Li Group. Even the Jiang family relatives and friends who had sided with Li Bao earlier were now panicking. They bowed an apology to me one by one before finding excuses to leave. The room suddenly fell quiet, but Li Lei's frown deepened. It was that Uncle Kai's faction who recognized the situation. Leading the veterans, they lowered their heads in apology. "Old master, we were fools to be manipulated by that bastard Li Bao. Give us a chance to atone. I know a highly skilled professor who can definitely cure young master's leg condition." Watching this unfold, I felt an inexplicable sense of vindication. A month ago, Li Lei had found me and called me son outright. At the time, I'd cursed him for being an old fraud, until he showed me his marriage certificate with my mother. Only then did I learn I had a father. Years ago, because of a misunderstanding, Mom had taken me and fled far away. Though father achieved great success in business, he never remarried. He had been searching for mother and me all along. The wish he prayed to the heavens for countless days and nights had finally come true. When I was being bullied, Dad finally steadily shielded me. Li Bao was dumbstruck by all this, cautiously inching toward Dad. "Dad, there must be some misunderstanding here. I'm your real son." Dad slapped him across the face. "You damned bastard, you deceived me so cruelly. If I hadn't checked your blood type last time, who knows how long you'd have kept fooling me." Dad composed himself, picked up Mother's portrait from the floor, and carefully caressed and examined it attentively. A tear involuntarily slipped from his eye. Pointing at Li Bao, he said to Uncle Kai, "I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. Keep him breathing, within legal bounds. As for the rest of you," the other elders held their breath, awaiting Dad's verdict. "I'll assign investigators to scrutinize every one of you. Those involved in letting Li Bao into our family 10 years ago, I'll show no mercy." A lifetime's worth of my family fortune nearly changed hands. In an instant, the ground was filled with the sounds of kowtowing and wailing. Those who had been arrogantly basking in privilege mere moments ago now lay prostrate at my feet like bay ants, endlessly kind. At this moment, Jiang Xianhao, who had remained silent for over an hour, Dong kneeled before me. Tear stains still glistened at the corners of her eyes. Husband, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Let's start over, okay? I turned sideways and shook my head resolutely. Don't you dare call me husband. We've already signed the divorce agreement. Once the cooling-off period ends, we'll have no relation whatsoever. Hearing my words, Jiang Xianhao's body visibly stiffened. No, husband. I just temporarily lost my way. I still love you in my heart. Please forgive me, okay? Didn't you always want a child? I promised to get pregnant this month. You could become a father within a year. She pleaded with me, tears streaming down her face as she spoke. I yanked my pant leg from her grasp and said coldly, it's too late. Nothing you say now can change anything. From the moment you cheated, we were already over. Jiang Xianhao, the one you love was never me, nor was it Li Bao. What you truly love is money, fame, power, those things that make you feel superior. My words pierced through Jiang Xianhao's lies like sharp blades. She stopped explaining and slumped to the ground, silent tears streaming down her face. Li Bao, now recognizing the situation, followed her example and knelt before me, slapping himself 20-some times. Young Master Ming, I had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I've offended you. Please be magnanimous and spare me. If I'd known you were my dad, no, the old master's biological son, I wouldn't have dared cross you even with 100 lives. What's Jiang Xianhao worth? I'll return her to you. If that's not enough, I'll even crawl between your legs. Li Bao crawled through my crotch as he spoke. 10 or 100. Just say the number, and I'll crawl until you're satisfied. I remember when I was bullied in elementary school, my mother told me, the desire to survive is innate, and mercy toward enemies is cruelty to oneself. I've never forgotten those words. Save your breath. I warned you the moment you acted. You simply didn't take it seriously. Li Bao tried to beg again, but Uncle Kai kicked him to the ground. Blood began to seep from the corner of his mouth. He looked up in dazed confusion. Uncle Kai, why'd you hit me? When Uncle Kai heard Li Bao still Callie ing his name, he kicked him again. Don't fucking call me uncle. We're not close. You'd better pray young master's leg injury heals. Otherwise, even all 4 limbs won't be enough for me to break. Before Li Bao could struggle, the men in black dragged him away. Father gripped my hand, tears streaming down his weathered face. Son, come home with Dad. I've been waiting for this day for so long. I tearfully embraced my elderly father, tears flowing like a river. The year I returned to my father's side, my life underwent earth-shattering changes. My lameness was cured, and I joined the Li Corporation. Father said that in the future, I would be the helmsman of the entire Li family, with boundless prospects. Everything was developing in a positive direction. Yet I never expected to see Jiang Xianhao again. It was the 70th anniversary celebration of the Li Corporation. Father had just formally introduced me, his newly recovered biological son, to the elite and nobility of the industry. As soon as the words fell, the banquet hall doors were kicked open with a heavy thud. Jiang Xianhao came into view, holding a wailing infant in their arms. Now that the Li Group has reclaimed their biological son today, do they plan to disown their biological grandson? The vast banquet hall instantly descended into chaos. The phrase, biological grandson, became the central topic of fervent discussion among the guests and media present. Reporters' camera flashes trained on us, flashing incessantly. Someone exclaimed, isn't that the ex-wife of the Li family's young master? A single stone stirred 1,000 waves. More journalists swarmed toward me with cameras, pelting me with pointed questions. Mr. Li, is the child in your ex-wife's arms yours? Rumors claim you abandoned your wife and child to enter the Li family. Is this true? I did not respond to these absurd accusations, merely watching quietly as Jiang Xianhao pleaded tearfully under the camera flashes. I thought she would have the last shred of conscience to live a quiet life with the child, leaving me at least some face. Yet she chose to make a fool of me once again. Darling, let's reconcile for the child's sake. Jiang Xianhao walked over and tried to take my hand, but her trembling fingers betrayed her inner turmoil. I viciously shook her off, my gaze fixed on her face. Whose child this is, you know perfectly well in your heart. Why go through this elaborate charade? Jiang Xianhao confidently produced a paternity test from her bosom. See for yourself, is this child yours or not? Before I could react, eager reporters had already thrust their camera lenses toward the document. Mr. Li, the results confirm you're the biological father. Do you have any comments? You experienced fatherless childhood yourself. Now you want your OWN child to suffer the same. Zhou Ming, I don't blame you. Let's consider all past misunderstandings my fault. I apologize. Punish me however you wish, but the child is innocent. Could you bear to let them grow up fatherless? I stared fixedly at Jiang Xianhao's desperate attempts at reconciliation. Countless whys choked in my throat, left unspoken. 1 year of courtship, 10 years of marriage. She knew better than anyone that my eyes could never tolerate a single grain of sand. Yet she chose to cheat and deceive again and again. I originally wanted to preserve her dignity and end this marriage amicably. But ultimately, that was wishful thinking. I had my assistant bring over a document in front of everyone. What a coincidence. I also have a paternity test here, between me and my father. I glared coldly at Jiang Xianhao. Then why does the blood type on your report differ from mine? Jiang Xianhao, we've been together for 11 years. Yet to this day, you don't even know my blood type. Your forgery is riddled with flaws. Impossible, Jiang Xianhao retorted resolutely. Yours is the fake one. It's fake. I threw both reports in front of her. You wouldn't dare claim the Li Group went through all that effort to find me just to fabricate a paternity test for a fake heir, would you? She knelt before me, eyes reddening at the corners, staring up pleadingly. Husband, I never wanted to part with you. Being with him was all because of you. You've always been the one I love most. Aren't you the one who always wanted a child? Now we have a child. Your wife remains yours. What more could you want? Would you truly bear to leave me? I couldn't help but laugh in exasperation. She'd already cheated, crowning me with this towering green hat. What reluctance could I possibly harbor? Did she expect me to perform some cliched melodrama, wearing that green hat while pretending to cherish our marital harmony till old age? I smirked at her, nodding disdainfully. Absolutely. In the end, Jiang Xianhao walked out, clutching the child and glancing back every few steps. Everything that had just transpired felt like an interlude, a deliberate afterthought amid the roller coaster of the grand celebration. Wealth and power intertwined on this glittering night. The glory